Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our team meeting today, November 1st, best month of the year. It's nice to see all of you. Hope you all survived Halloween last night. Michelle had a family emergency, so I'm standing in for her today, and then we are going to introduce our speaker in just a minute. So let's see, is everyone, we have a lot of people here. This is great. Okay, so Ricky, are you ready? We're going to transfer it over to you and start this all rolling.
Go like this at this
So
camera.
So like this?
Go.
Like this?
Yeah,
Hi.
there you go. Now
Hey.
it should like follow you.
Oh, it's gonna follow me. Got high tech down here in Lodi.
Nothing but the best.
Nothing but the best. Hey, thank you for having me, by the way. So I apologize to those who are at home or in another office or in your car listening to this, because there's an exercise that I usually like to start off with. So for those that are at home, we'll email you the exercise and you'll make sure that you do it. That's important. So my name is Ricky O'Neill. I run the More Real Estate Group out of Folsom, Sacramento. We're at about, everyone's KW, right?
No.
Yes.
Okay, so we're number one in units and volume and GCI for the Sacramento market, and then number two in the Northern California Hawaii region. We'll be there. Oh, no. I'm just, no. Thank you though. And then also we'll be at about 3 million in GCI this year and 250 units. So all I'm doing today is just kind of like sharing some amazing takeaways, and we call it Breakthrough Mastermind. So if that's okay with you guys, I'm just going to share some things that we've had to succeed this year. I recognize some names and faces on the screen. Wish I saw you in person, but it's good to see you and thank you for being here. Is there a whiteboard by any chance? That I could.
Do we have a whiteboard?
No, that's okay if not. So I have had the pleasure and honor of being in the room with some really cool people, some of my business man crushes, if you will, or whatever you want to call it, and really kind of changed my whole life, right? In the last year, we've been able to obviously mastermind with Gary's group, but also some Jay Papasan and Abrams and Hoovernet and last week we were in Austin, our team, which was in Austin. I don't know if some of you guys follow us, with Mark King, our president. And one thing that I found that kind of struck me is all of these leaders who we all admire and trust and follow, they all have two things super in common. They're really good at saying no. Who's good at saying no? One person. That's about right. And
she's excellent.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And they're super clear on their why. Who's super clear on their why? It's like no one, right? Because I mean, that's one thing that struggle. But you know, when I was in the room with Mark last week, he was super clear on his why. And so what I like to do to start this chat today is kind of hand out a little exercise. And those at home, I'm gonna put this on the screen right here, and maybe you can kind of read it. I don't know, or we could get it, email it to you. We'll take a picture of it and then send it out to wherever you guys could take a look at it. And essentially, what this is an exercise on core values. And thank you very much. I'm sorry. Thank you. The reason that the core values are so important is because if you are really dialed in your core values, then you're going to know what to say no to, and more importantly, what to say yes to. And I found in our business and in a lot of business people and real estate professionals, one of the challenges is that we say yes to too many things. Say yes to the wrong things, right? We oftentimes are jumping over dollars to pick up dimes. Great example. On the way here, I got a phone call from someone in our Silicon City office. wanting me to open up one of my listings to show one of her buyers. I happily said no. Right? We're jumping over dollars to pick up dimes because we are not clear on our core values. Who is going to drive 5 hours away to show a house?
Recording in progress.
Thank you. Record that and post it time and time again. So to kick things off the morning right, let's get into this exercise. Does everyone have that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then you guys at home, wherever you are, there should be a file that's uploaded in the notes. And essentially, this is our core values. And the way that we're going to do this is if you're at home, you'll just have to look at them and write them down. In the room, you can cross off and circle. So we're going to take 3 minutes right now to go over these core values. I want you to take 3 minutes starting now to look at this sheet and circle the ones you love and just skip right over the ones that don't hit you in the face. If they hit you in the face, I want you to circle it and go right to the next one. So you have 3 minutes to do this. Trust me, if you are spending more than this amount of time on the core value, like basically if you're like, yes, 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 no, yes, yes, no, yes, that's how fast it should be. If you have to think about it, it's immediately a no. Fair enough? 3 minutes, ready to go.
Hey, Ricky, maybe we can have the Dofi from their email to the Dofis in the Manteca office so we can print that here.
Working on that right now.
Thank you.
I think you scanned it to me, right? I already have.
Is there any certain amount? Do we have a limit?
No, for this first step, you have no limit.
Thank you.
Brian's on the
Believe it or not, you only have 60 seconds left. I know. Who's taken bold before? So you know you're going to get things done in either 3 minutes or 30 minutes and come up with the same answers, right?
True.
Doesn't hit you immediately, go to the next one. For those at home playing along,
Recording in
if
progress.
you get the idea, you can always come back and fill it out later. So as we're wrapping up this first part, the second part of this exercise is going to be taking all of the ones that can fit into a similar bucket. And you're going to throw them and you're going to say bucket number 1, bucket number 2, bucket number 3. So pretend that you have 3 buckets. And bucket number 1 might be things that are like, if you circled honesty and ethics and those sort of things, that fall into one bucket. If you circled some things that are more like family and time, that's going to fall into another bucket. So now create 3 buckets, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to put a number next to each of those words that you circled and to what bucket they can go into. Sometimes they might fit, the one word might fit into 2 buckets, and that will kind of, you'll filter that out in the next step. This step right now, you're going to create 3 buckets and you have 90 seconds. So take all the ones you circled and put them into a categorized bucket. So again, some of them are similar, right? You probably, a lot of people have, you can say that kind of fits into 1 bucket, that fits in 2, that fits in 3. You have 90 seconds for this. How's everyone doing
It's a little harder.
virtually right now?
I feel like they're all ones and twos. I don't got three.
Oh, you got a three. You got a three. How's everyone doing in virtual world? Everyone good? I'm calling someone. See, we haven't lost anyone virtually yet. We've added one person. Sorry.
We got a chance to print the core values, but we won't be able to see your whiteboard from where the computer's at.
That the whiteboard is just for me to take notes so that I know what we're gonna do next. Thank you for mentioning that. Plus, you won't be able to read my handwriting anyway, so. Okay, so let's wrap this up. We have our 3 buckets. The final step is about a minute long. And you got to pick your favorite one per bucket. So go to all your buckets, and the one that speaks to you loudest, what word, what value, write that at the top of the page. Whatever value in that bucket speaks to you loudest, write it at the top of the page or the bottom, somewhere where it's clear. You have 1 minute. One word per bucket. So you're gonna end with 3 core value words. 3 core. You'll end with 3 words. Who's done this exercise before? Anyone at home? Hanging out in your PJs today? No one at home? Great. Then I'm in the right room, and so are you. Look how you want to be in, right? So, congratulations, everybody. You just discovered what your core values are in less than 5 minutes. So you waited your whole year, your whole life to know what your core values are. These core values, remember, are something that speaks to you at such a high level that if you're being asked to do something that doesn't 90% fit into one of these core values, it's an easy no. Some of you guys just had an aha moment, right? It's an easy no. Would anyone like to share maybe a core value or their 3 core values? Anyone? Go ahead. Don't be embarrassed.
Share,
Just if
okay.
you want to, I'd love to hear it.
So, and I don't even know if I put them in the right buckets or
That's
whatever.
okay.
So, abundance, faith, and integrity.
Those are fantastic. You know why? Because they're yours. Right? Abundance, faith, and integrity. So what you can do, I challenge you all now to do is print these out and put them everywhere. Put them in your office, in your cube, on your phone, in your car, to help you remember what your core values are. Because I can tell you right now that this is just one step closer to helping you guys get abundance and faith and have more integrity in your life. It's super important, right? Like impact is one of mine, right? So it was so important to me, I made a shirt. Fulfillment is one of mine, right? It was so important, I made a shirt, right? Success without fulfillment is failure is my life statement. So I know, right? Success without fulfillment is failure. We've all had success, well, that we think is success. Yet are we having fulfillment? If we're in my opinion, we're not successful unless we're having fulfillment in what we're doing. Because we will run out. We can make all the money in the world and be super unhappy and have zero fulfillment. There's a lot of people we know who are very, very successful in business, yet they're married to their work. They're not married to faith or their family, right? And that can get us in trouble, and that's not a life worth living. Life by design, right? So, couple questions before we get started, because we haven't even got started yet. How's everyone doing? Pulse check. Everyone good at home? We got 28. We no one's losing. We're not losing anyone at home. That's good. I can always tell when people walk out of the room, but we can sneak out here. So, guys, write these questions down. So I'm going to talk a lot about big things today. And if I say write it down, it might be something that really hit me. So I hope it will hit you too, but it may not. But oftentimes I might say, write this down. Okay. So I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions I want you to think about throughout the process today. One, what is more scary? Where you are today or where you'll be in 1 year if nothing changes? What is more scary? Where you are today or where you'll be in 1 year if nothing changes? I would like to take credit for it, but I didn't think it up. Number two, have you identified what is your one thing that's keeping you from crushing? Now the goal here, now that you've identified your core values, is you're going to be able to identify your distractions in life from you crushing. What's in your way? What's in your way? And the follow-up question to that is, what are the areas that you win in that if you lose in all other areas, you still win the game? That makes sense? Mm-hmm. What are the areas that you win in that if you lose in all other areas, you still win the game? When we identify that one thing, everything else becomes a distraction. So here we are 10 minutes in, and we did a one thing core values exercise. I asked two one thing questions. Do you think the one thing book has an impact on me? Do you think meeting with Jay once a quarter has an impact on me? Right? Because it's true. I literally 10 years ago, I was distracted, right? Didn't know what I was doing. Had success, yet zero fulfillment. And so, it took one question to change my whole entire life. So, and that's why impact is one of my values, right? So, moving right along, we are going to talk about what you guys want to talk about, and we're going to turn it full circle here in a second. So I want to know from those that are at home or in another office, those in this room, what are we currently struggling with right now? What's our current distraction? What's going on? It's scary, right? Where you are today, or if one thing, if nothing changes. What needs to change? What's going on in your business? What's going on, on the real estate side? What's your distraction? Leadership. And you're gonna have. I know some of you guys have teams, right? What's going on? There's a duck. Is that duck bothering you? What's going on? Talk to me. And if you're putting things in the chat, I might not see them.
Ricky, for us, I feel like 2020 we totally transitioned to out of the office, and now we're transitioning back into the office.
Okay.
And it's holding me accountable. Like last week I was here all week. That used to be, and that was super challenging, but here we are. So we're trying to get our systems dialed again.
Okay. What else? Are you guys just killing it at listings and buyers and lead gen? Are you guys dialed in on your one thing? Are you dialed in on where you want to be? Has everyone hit their goals? You guys slotting your goals?
Yeah, I would say for us, we're growing faster than we can realize. And so keeping your, having your systems that have been working for you now, how do you multiply those and grow with your systems?
Okay. Love it. That's great. So those at home, it was basically their business is growing faster than what their operation, their foundation could hold at this point.
Right.
And we know if for those that are experts in the MREA, if you have an upside down business where your ops is up here and your agents are down here, your business is going to fall over. Right? So every time you grow your business, your ops needs to be the foundation. Right? And so sometimes we run into growing too fast where we're just like, oh my gosh, what do we do now? We can't move forward looking in the rearview mirror, so you're stuck with what you have now. We always hire 6 months in advance. So if we think that we're going to sell, well, we know we're going to sell 400 homes in 2022. We're hiring right now our ops team because, guys, you know what? It's what is cool about this. Just today, I love my echoes. I love my echoes. Hello. Okay. In the beginning of the MREA, it talks about you got to think like a millionaire to be a millionaire real estate agent. Think like a millionaire real estate agent to be a millionaire real estate agent. In the book Impact Players by Liz Wiseman, she says, yeah, write it down. It's a good one. Impact Players. She says, what you know is not nearly as important as how you think. What you know is not nearly as important as how you think. And so you have to think like whatever your goals are in 6 months, that's what you have to start preparing for. And systems is always the one that we lack. Let me tell you something about systems too. Is your operations team really is your foundation, but it's also the blood. It's your team, right? Gary says himself, your operations team is your team. Agents are going to come and go. And I don't know what roles you all have over here. The agents are going to come and go out of your all the time. But your operations is the one you have to put the time into. That's your team.
Yes.
You agree with that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. You agree with that? So the reason I say that's important is because they are in charge of your reputation, your service, the customer experience, all things that are giving us repeat referral business, right? This is how you discover if your operations are on point or not. You want me to give you the one thing that you can do to discover if your operations are on point? Write down your perfect 5-star review for your business.
Ooh.
And if you're not getting that, your operations team needs some TLC.
Repeat. Just the.
Write down the perfect 5-star review you want for your business.
Oh.
And if you're not providing that, you need to do some digging in your operations. I know, right?
Oh, okay. Sorry, they're there. I use them more.
Stab to the gut. But listen, that's how we do it. And we're always changing it too. We're always changing it. You always got to grow. If you stop growing, then bad times. I'm going to use my hand. Just going to get dirty today here. All right, so we're going to get back to that. What else? What else we want to talk about?
I got one.
Go for it.
A lot of our clients have moved out of state.
Yeah.
So it does kind of create like this scarcity mindset of our people are leaving, so who are we gonna sell? Where are our listings gonna come from? You know what I mean? Client events, like a lot of our people have moved out.
Okay. Can I address that now? Okay. Everyone feel the same thing? We're seeing a lot of people leave town. So we're like, our clients that we got a business from now just left us.
Right.
Right? So that's a data bank. That's kind of a data bank discussion.
Yep.
Okay. So our database is what? Our database is our base salary. And so if we're not pouring into our database and continuing to grow it in other ways, then we're probably going to go out of business. So I don't have ADD, but I get freaked out when closets open up. It's like, is this place haunted? What's going on down here? So always think of ways on how to add to the database.
Yes.
Okay, listen, I know that we call that overkill over time. Who has over 2,000 people in their database right
We have about that,
now? About what?
about two, I think.
2,000?
Yeah.
Okay, so 2,000 is the old number.
Yeah, oh no, our database needs to be cleaned up for
Yeah.
sure.
So, how about you guys at home or wherever you are? I don't mean to insult those who might not be at home and they're in their office. I'm just gonna assume you're at home. Any struggles with worried about scarcity in the market? What we call market share. People are moving, limited inventory. So we talk about something called mind share. You guys heard of that? Mind share equals market share. Mind share is like this overkill over time abundance of being in front of your people as much as possible and getting into your database's database.
What was that last one?
Getting into your database.
How do you get into your database's database? So if your database is leaving town, listen, here's the deal. 75% of our businesses come from our database. Not 75% of our business is selling or buying. It's the fact that they're sending us referrals, right? And we're continuing to add to our database. Let me tell you a story about spring of 2020. Who remembers that? Great time, right? So you talk about scarcity and worry that you're gonna go out of business. A lot of us were there, right? And in the middle of the night, at about 3 a.m., I woke up, which I do sometimes, and I thought to myself, how could we add 20,000 people in our database by June? I was just like, we have to add people, because I'm going after like shift mindset, right? We're gonna shift, so we already have 15,000. How could we get 20,000 more by June? 3 months, right? And then I thought, well, what's a necessity, right? What are people struggling with right now? They can't go to their gym. So some of you who follow us saw that we gave away a Peloton. So I brought that at 3 a.m. I bought a Peloton without talking to my partners. And they saw a $2,200 bill on the credit card the next morning. What did you buy? I said, I bought a Peloton. I said, why? I said, because we're going to give it away. And how we're going to give it away is it's going to be a point system. And everyone who shares this link to win is going to get more points. And they're going to share it via email, Facebook, text. And it's going to go, we're going to go deep. And I talked to my coach, I told her about it. She said, that's great. She's like, you know what you're doing? You're getting into your database's database. And I didn't know what she was saying, but it was true. It wasn't about who I knew, it was about who I should know. And instead of going after these blanket crappy leads of 20,000 crap people, sorry, any more crap people out there, we were going after like 1 or 2 steps away from the people we already knew. And that first week, we had over 5,000 new ads to our database. The first day we launched it was like 1,900 people in one day, real people. So I went to Michele Crosby, which some of you know. She's an awesome Maps operational coach. She was our director of operations for 5 years. Now she's a Maps ops coach and a agent coach too as well. And I told her, so Michele, figure out how to do this. Okay, by the way, you know you have talent on your team if you come up with a crazy idea at 3 a.m. and you give it to her at 7 a.m. the next morning and it's figured out by like 10 o'clock, right? So she created the website, winapeloton.com. She found a program called gleam.io, GLEAM.io, and that inserted right into the Facebook, the website. And the cool thing is that she can, okay, you share here to Facebook, another screen popped up either on your phone or computer, and it went right to their Facebook page. So we immediately got their contacts right there. And then they shared it and they got like 5 points. And then everyone that shared it from them, they got an additional like 1 point or something like that, right? The winner had like, 5,000 points. And It was all good, but we ended up adding a little over 15,000 people to our database. It wasn't 20,000 yet, it was real people. And because we wanted to get in our database, we wanted to have that mind share, something of value, right? And we ended up giving away 4 Pelotons total last year.
Wow.
Because of what happened was the people who didn't win, we said, if you generate a referral for us that closes by the end of the year, we'll buy you a Peloton also. And that generated 4 more pieces to do. So think of how you can get in your database's database and then overkill over time. The people that we know there's still people sticking around, right? They're still here. We just have to figure out how to reach those people. There's a book called The 7 Levels of Communication, which most of us forget that we ever read. Yet in that book, it talks about if you were to get married and you invited 100 people to your wedding, and then each of those 100 people got married and they invited 100 people to their wedding, how many people do you really then should have in your database? Not just 100 people, it would be 10,000 people. And that's the math. That's getting into your people's people, right? That's that getting into your database's database, that next step. That's what we should focus on. All right. And then when we get those people into our database, we have to connect with them. Too many people so ask yourself this question, write it down. Are you connecting or colliding with your database? Are you connecting or colliding? Give me an example of what colliding with your database might be.
Would that be more like it accidental, non-intentional?
It would be this. What's your name?
I'm Norma.
Norma. Okay, great. Norma, you and I run each other at Target. And I tell you, I just bought a house. And I've known you for 20 years. That's colliding. And it's all happened to us.
It's a fatal collision.
And what happens is when that does, I immediately go back and I say, why in the world did this person not use us? And it's usually because they weren't in the database. We had old contact info. We weren't friends on Facebook, something. It was all because of our fault. It wasn't her fault.
Correct.
It wasn't, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so that's colliding. Connecting is I run into you at Target and I say, oh my gosh, I'm thinking about selling. Can we meet next week? And that's all a mind share discussion. Your database should be super cleaned up and on point. Especially right now. Because I can tell you right now, if your database isn't cleaned up and on point and you're not connecting with your people regularly, guess who is?
Someone
Zillow,
else.
Open Door, whatever else they're doing out there. Me, not me here, but maybe Ashley. But my point is that someone is. So you have to take care of your people at the highest level. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you guys fully using the command system or are you using something else?
No, we have to use command for compliance stuff, yet our database is through Brevity.
Oh, Ruby's good.
For us, with a team of, I don't know, 20 people and 14 agents, it was hard to use command at the moment. I love it, I support it, and I think if you're a small team or a team of 1 or 2 people, by all means use it. It's free, it's great, and it has tons of great smart plans on it. The only thing I say about technology is I think that at least the people, a lot of the agents we coach and train with, they went through this phase where they were expecting the technology to do the lead generation for them.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was like, command's gonna do everything, and then they stopped calling people. You still gotta call your people. Still gotta call your people. You gotta protect your database. You gotta learn to grow it through your database. And that, I think, will help with this a little,
Oh, yeah.
right? Because I hear you, but I also know that Lodi will probably still sell, maybe 2,000, 3,000 homes this year.
I think we're kind of finding it hard to connect when we were doing a lot of, kind of like you, like the events.
Events.
And so it was just like, we were kind of getting spoiled by just having our phone ring for a while. So now we're trying to figure that all out.
Okay, well, you know what that's called, and you can write this down too. low-hanging fruit is a lie.
No. Oh, but low-hanging fruit is so good.
Low-hanging fruit is a lie, okay? Even though events are great and we do tons of them, we do 6 big events every year, we can still do events, you know, we're planning to do 6 this year, by the way.
That's
And events are great, and we did have to pivot. I hate the word pivot, but we did have to adjust a lot of our models last year. So that's why we went deep into overkill over time and are growing our database during the time, because we knew we came out of this alive at some degree, even if it was on life support, and we added 20,000 people, new people to our database, we would be able to crush it moving forward. So it was kind of, we looked for the opportunity. You just want to be the mayor of your database, right? I'm going to give you, they say your network is your net worth too, so make sure you just keep adding to it. I'm going to give you guys 5 simple steps to working your database right here. And now when I say database, I break it down into 3 different groups. We have our overall global, you know, 30,000+ people. And then we have the sphere, the people I actually know. And then we have a VIP. So we have a big, medium, small. The sphere, so what your goal should be is getting the people you don't know into your sphere and the sphere into your VIP. And then you ask yourself this question, it's a leadership question, but it's basically, who do I have to show up as the mayor of my database so that no one will ever want to leave my world and people are begging to get into it? So you have to add tons of value to those people, right? So it's not just, hey, here's your monthly report on what your home is worth. Take it a step further and saying, this is not only what your home is worth, but this is what you would net in this market, right? In Shift, they talk about MOFRs. You guys know what MOFR is? Google MOFIR, Shift. Make offer for immediate response. Who's read the Shift? Who's read Shift? Shift is really probably the book you guys all should read right now. It's not, hey, listen, we all have short-term memory. So a lot of our clients assume that the market's going to crash because that's what we remember. Yeah, in the history of the world, the market really never crashed like that. It's usually some kind of correction. So when the make offer for immediate response is like, hey, here's what you would net right now, right? Or by the way, if you know the interest rates are super low, what if I told you that you can buy this house without selling? If you know how much they owe. So you have to come up with some value item to get them to make a move list. And that's important to know. One of my favorite scripts for our database is super simple. So we don't do any scripts like, hey, if you who do you know who wants to buy or sell, or are you thinking about buying and selling? Because what's normally the answer? No, right? And because most of y'all took bold, you would know that we have to treat people how to what?
Treat us.
Yes, teach people how to treat us. Teach people how to treat us. So this is why I use this script. All of our agents use this script. We say, hey, by the way, if you overhear someone wanting to buy or sell real estate, do you have a go-to realtor who you refer business to? Because that's getting into their people. And so they think, you know what, I don't right now. Well, great. Do you mind if I send you some of my cards or whatever so that we can stay in touch? Of course. Now, you have to teach them, right? Not everyone is like referral mindset connector. Not everyone is a connector. Yet we can teach them how to be a connector so that if they are ever in line at Starbucks and they overhear someone say they're thinking about selling, they can turn around and say, you need to call Ricky O'Neill right away. And that happens.
Do you send anything to people who refer you? like a little thank you gift?
We always thank them on the referral, not the close.
Right.
Yes,
What
we
do you
do.
do?
We do.
Just call them or you send them like a
They get a
card?
thank you card, they get maybe a gift card to someplace, a hat or a shirt or a Yeti cup that you've probably all seen. We always thank them on the referral, though, always.
Yeah.
Because if you wait till it closes, it may never close, right? The lead might be garbage,
But you're thinking.
but you were
that.
thanking them for thinking of you, right? And that's important. All right. So also, if we're going to generate more listings, there's some really cool things that we've been doing that's been working great. One of them is a script, one is the golden letter, and one's a text. Okay, this is the simplest. The leaders simplify, right? So these are the simplest simple things that we've been doing, and it's been working. And I'll be happy to read each of these. The text is like this. Okay. This, and trust me, we send 50 out of these per week. Each agent's required or expected. Sorry, forgot I was back in California. I was in Vegas last week. I could say required. Expected to send 50 of these per week. Hey, it's Ricky with the More Real Estate Group. Are you willing to sell your house to one of my buyers? And we leave it at that. Really, it's 10 a day, 10 texts a day. And it goes through brevity so we can see it. And I would say 50% of the time we get a response. And probably 2 appointments. Now, these are your sphere. This is your whole database, right? It's not just your VIPs. This is the data bank of all data banks, right? Your beast. That's the text that's going out. People are responding to it because they're interested. We have to tell the story. You remember early in COVID where it was like, if you lived on cardboard for 55 years and it lived in the air for 95 years and it was on plastic for, you know what I mean? Remember all that? We didn't know. And so then the market was going to crash and everything was going to be bad. It was all this negative stuff. We had to tell the story because if you were just watch the news, you would think that the real estate market was just going to go to hell. Yet after April, when we figured it out how to do it, it was a pretty healthy market last year, right? Yet the news, if the only thing you watch the news, you'd think that it was just terrible. So we had to tell that story. So it's important for you guys to tell your own story, the story. The next thing is the golden letter. And I know who's heard of the golden letter? Who's heard of them? 1, 2 of you guys, great. This is the key of all keys, the golden letter. If you have a farm, send this to your farm. If you have a just sold, send it to your just sold list in that area, right? Consistently, though, is important. Whatever area you choose, make it consistent. This is exactly what the golden letter should say. Hi, would you be willing to sell your home to a client of mine? If so, please call me to discuss. Thank you, Ricky O'Neill. Keller Williams. All the letter says. The phone number I put on there is not my cell phone. It's a Google voice number where I never answer, and they leave, and the voicemail message sounds something like this. It says, "Hey, this is Ricky O'Neill. Thanks so much for calling. You reached my voicemail. If you're calling about a letter I sent you, please leave your name and address, and I promise to call you back within the hour." I get the name and the address. I do some research. I call them. I know everything about the house and where it is, and I can come from contribution. We send 900 letters a week, and we probably get 10 calls a week. We're going on 10 appointments a month. But all those calls immediately go into our database, and now they're nurtures, right? They're all nurtures. Cameron, our ISA, who nurtures these gold letters, listed because of his efforts. His efforts alone listed 7 houses just last week off of these letters. So they work. They work. stamps or what? You don't have to do 900 a week, but gosh, you can do maybe 100 or 200. And guess, you know what? You're gonna have to put them in the envelopes. It's gonna take a little time, or you're gonna have to hire an intern or a kid to do it. Any questions on that gold letter?
Have you tested that with postcards or anything different than a letter?
Yeah. You know what? I spent thousands and thousands and $100,000 on postcards, and maybe you've only got about 3 or 4 listings. You spend 55 cents on a stamp for golden letter. You know, and we've listed 7 houses just last week on a golden letter. So we still do postcards because that's part of, like, in your farm, I think it's important to do a postcard. Yet I look at the postcard as more just kind of a branding saturation tool. Because so that the people are see your name. Oh gosh, they listed, they're back in here again. They're always doing something. However, it's not a real ask. The letter's straight up like, we want to sell your house to one of my buyers. Call me right now. There's a little more urgency around it. Postcards are simple because you don't have to do any work. You just go into command and you press a button and then it sends it out. Maybe they're not as effective. And let me tell you the reason why too is because when I check my mail once a month, there's about 100 real estate postcards in there, including mine. So, but the letters that look like a letter, I might open and read. I'm not discouraging postcards for mind share and purposes. Yet there might be other more efficient, affordable ways of getting business quicker. In my opinion. All right, guys, let's move along. What else? What else we got going on? I haven't forgot about office environment. Growing too fast. We kind of talked about. We talked about 2 of these. What else is going on in your market, on your teams? What kind of value you guys would like to add? You guys hit your goals? What were your roadblocks?
I have a question.
Go for it.
For your client events, obviously you had to do things differently during COVID times and kind of coming out of it. Are there any special client events that you're doing outside of like your normal pies or cookies with Santa or any of that stuff? Like your Peloton event, that's like thinking out of the box and getting engagement that way. Is there anything else that you're doing or your team is doing
Yes. So when in a world that's not messy, we often would go to a business office with a hall, a big entry hall, and bring Starbucks to them once a month. So our agents are all expected to be involved in the community, whatever community they live, whether it's Sacramento, whether it's Folsom, Rockland, Roseville, they are expected to do something in that community. And one of the things that a lot of them do when the offices open back up is provide coffee to those people once a month. Another thing that we do is happy hours. We started that up again. Once a month for our VIPs, we do happy hour. Now I prefer those over large events. This is what happens. We host 2 major events every year. It's the first Saturday in January. It's a New Year event, right? And that's huge. 300 people or so come, and I maybe talk to one person 15 seconds, and I go to the next person. And then I'm an introvert, so then I gotta go hide, behind the curtain for a couple hours, and then come back. And then we do the Kentucky Derby party, which is the same thing. There's hundreds of people, and I don't get to stop getting one that I really like. You still recording this? Okay, you hear me though, right?
Yeah.
However, the happy hours, you only invite 20 at a time. So you do the D to D2. Look up D to D2 on YouTube if you don't know what that is. We work backwards on the happy hour invites. Okay, and then we go back out. So in 1 year, we should hit everyone, but we go A to Z, then in, then back out. And we only invite 20 to 30 people to the happy hour. And we usually pick a restaurant or an area that we frequent and we like, because we can say, hey, we're going to bring you some business today. They really appreciate that, especially those who showed up to work. And yes, I said it. And they're gonna love it. So you buy the first drink or give a ticket or whatever, you give a bracelet as VIP, something special. And you just talk to them. And then only if you invite 30, maybe 15 show up in a 2-hour period, and you have some really great one-on-one conversations with people. They want to know about the market, and how you've been, and how you ask how they're doing, how their family is, how's work going. They all immediately say, how's the market, right? How's the golf game? We got to get out going golfing soon. You're going on vacations this year, you know, all et cetera, et cetera. And it's time with the people. The happy hour is the best, dude. Like, I learned that from Lance Logan. He's the one that said we switched to smaller events once a quarter instead of this one massive event every year. And that's another thing that came out of COVID, another positive. So we've added that. So every month we've been doing that since this summer too. Right. And a matter of fact, that morphed into a men's breakfast, leadership. So part of my people are a lot of them are real interested in the leadership stuff, right? And so I gave them all a copy of the one thing. I gave 50 people a copy of the one thing. And they all read it, and they all took tons of like takeaways. And now about 10 of those people meet once a month for breakfast. Right? And that all came from having a very, very small conversation around leadership at a happy hour. So you never know where those things are going to lead, right? And so now we've created this little network of leadership, great leadership conversations around breakfast. The only bad thing about that is I'm not a morning person. It's to be at a restaurant at 6 a.m. once a month is
I have a question about that, actually. What do you think the best office hours are? Because when, like us on our team, we're like trying to herd feral cats sometimes, you know what I mean? Because we're all like on our own schedule. And even for myself, I'm more of like a 10 to 7 kind of person. But is it like inappropriate to be sending emails like later in the evening? Should I be forcing myself to get it done between 8 and 5? Or, you know, I don't.
So
that's something for me that I'm trying to hone in on.
Sure, great question. And I love what we're going to talk about. So is it, or do you have a team, or do you just you?
Yeah, me, actually, Jan, and then we have an assistant, you know.
So whatever you do, make it consistent, right? If you are, I don't like to work after 7 p.m. personally, because what it really means 7 p.m. really means 9 p.m.
Yeah.
And then when you're responding to emails and phone calls to your clients at 9 p.m., you're training your clients to be needy.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're going to call you all hours of the day and bug the crap out of you, and you're going to not have any more fulfillment in what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that we're busy. We're open from 9 to 5. Now we do return phone calls up until 7 o'clock at night. Yet we trained our people to not train needy clients.
Yeah.
Because they're going to drive you to the ground. If you're dealing with that right before you go to bed or first thing in the morning, that's not what you want to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how we do it is our expectations every morning at 9 a.m. we have a huddle, right? And for a year, I would run the huddle, and the agents were getting bored of hearing from me. So Michele said, "Hey, in MAPS, one of the other teams, they make their agents run the huddle every day, which holds them accountable to be there to lead Jen by 9:10. So we switched. Now we make all of our agents host the huddle. And if you're not there at 9 a.m., you're donating to KW Fairs.
Oh, nice. So huddle, and then how long's your huddle?
5 to 10 minutes.
And then instantly in those lead gen?
Instantly in lead gen.
How long?
What? 11:30. Now our lead is different because we're a lead-based team. Cameron does majority of the lead gen, or I say, for our people. So and they're responsible for lead follow-up, open house follow-up in their database and growing their database and those kind of things, right? They also circle quality open houses that they'll be hosting that week.
So then in the end of the day, to protect our time, we should have all of this stuff done at a reasonable time in the evening, just so that our clients know that, like, we're real people.
Right.
Like, no,
What-
hats
so-
off, roll your hats
So
off.
let me
Yeah.
ask you a question. What do you like about 10 to 7?
You know what, because before I was a realtor, I waited tables, so I always worked late evenings, you know, and I was up early with the kids, did stuff around the house all day. then went off to work. So I had these really long days.
Sure.
And then now, like, my kids are grown. I don't want to be up at 6 in the morning anymore. I did all that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my thing is like, okay, but, and to me, like 10 to 7 seems pretty appropriate. But at the same time, I get tons of, like I said, it's not 10 to 7,
No,
then it's 9 and 11 and,
Right.
you know what I mean, that kind of stuff. And then,
You know what, that's not a life worth living. It's
Yeah.
not gonna be sustainable.
yeah, well, that's why I wanted to ask that, like. you
And
know,
what's cool
I'm
is
trying to
anyone
get-
who's thinking about growing a team too, or if people at home or in other offices have a team, what's really cool about that is you are empowering your people to be leaders, right? And you're teaching them how to lead, because they need to come in with something really fantastic from into that huddle. So they have to think about it, like the night before, like some people get stressed about it. Yet they're coming prepared for the day. And being prepared for the day will save you 75% of your day. If you come in the morning and you don't know what you're gonna do for lead generation that day, or you have nothing on you have no idea what you're gonna do, you will lose 75% of your day trying to think about what to do. And then it's gonna be 6:30 at night, and you haven't done anything, and you're gonna go home, and then you're gonna wonder why you don't have anyone in the pipeline and no business. Right?
Yeah.
Because you're not prepared. And that's kind of a habit mindset. How many days does it take to create a habit? 66 days, right? You know, and the mindset really around that is not thinking about it as lead generation. Like, who wakes up every day and says, how can I sell a house today? Be honest. If you first thing you wake up, it's okay.
No, not there yet.
My thought is that I have to wake up every day looking for a new job, looking for the next
Deal.
deal.
I like that.
Right. Okay. What if I challenge you all at home too, because you guys are real quiet, all 30 of you, we added 2 more people since last time I looked. What if I challenge you to so here's the difference between who wants to be a mega agent, or who wants to have an abundance of business? Okay, who would like to have an abundance of business? Okay, so we're gonna call that person a mega agent, right? Whatever that means. I don't know the metrics around it, yet it's a term, right? So the difference between a mega agent and a regular agent is a mega agent wakes up every day thinking, how can I build a new relationship today? And a regular agent thinks, how can I sell a house today? So if you always wake up thinking, how can I build a new relationship today? You're gonna have abundance. You're gonna have abundance. Okay. One of the things that if you're not reaching your goals and you're having struggle, we call that mass, right? And you have to identify one of these things. Now, mass stands for M is mindset, A is activity, S is skill set, and the other S is systems. So if you're having some struggles and you're roadblocks and you're not sure why you just can't get over that hump, go to mass, which is mindset, activity, skill set, and systems, and try to figure out which one of those are you failing in. Or 2 or 3 or 5 or 4. I'm sorry, 4. There's not 5. 4, right? Because some of us run a sloppy business and some of us run a messy business. Which one are you? Do you know the difference between messy and sloppy?
No.
Messy is typically a better thing. Messy is like, you know what? We're not organized yet, but we're recognizing it and we're fixing it. Sloppy is you're such a cluster that it's probably going to get you in trouble and you're going to go out of business. Right? Who knows those realtors that are always late to everything and their car's a mess and they're just so busy, they're running on a treadmill going nowhere? Right? They're responding to emails at 2 a.m. Who knows one of those people? Do you know anyone who has their crap together that's responding to emails at 2 a.m.? No, you don't. You don't. So, right, though. It's true. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sorry, don't look at the 2 people that do respond to email at 2 a.m. just left. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. So that's important. You know, one thing that we talk about a lot in our business too, and it kind of goes back to another lead gen thing, is the law of emotional proximity. You guys know what that is? Now I'm drawing something on the board here, guys, so I apologize, but I'm going to show it to you when I'm done. So the law of emotional proximity says that people buy and sell real estate every 5 to 7 years, right? They buy or sell real estate every 5 to 7 years. A realtor's biggest day is the day after it closes, right? So they work really, really, really hard for probably 60 days. And then they earned, you know, $15,000 for working for 60 days. And then the very next day, what happens? They say, thank you. And then I call them, right? Because then you don't want to hear from them again until 60 or 90 days from when they want to buy or sell again, perhaps. Well, what if I told you the most important time of the transaction is in between transactions? This is the area that you really need to focus on, is between the 5 and the 7 years. Soon as they're done, that's when you need to like literally go deep on them. Nurture them like crazy. Because that's the most important time of the transaction, is in between transactions. And that experience in between transactions is what's going to grow your business X-fold to abundance, right? Can you guys see that at home? You've all seen that before, I'm sure. That's called the law of emotional proximity. Super important. Can we talk about who's having struggle with their operations? Someone said something about operations. Yeah. So who wants to maybe think about hiring someone next year? No one.
Okay, if I'm planning the next 6 months.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. So anyway, so what you want to do is you need to, the way that we hire is this: if we find someone who's massive talent and they want X number of dollars, my conversation might look like this. Well, you named your price, yet I'm going to name the terms. So if you want to get there, I'm going to tell you, you have to do these things to get there. Don't be afraid of what they want, right? Because talent pushes. Talent pushes. And a really great assistant. So you could invest in real estate and spend $100,000 in real estate and maybe make $500 a month. Or you could invest in somebody who's going to make you $1 million a year. Which would you prefer? Now, of course, you're going to want to take them through career visioning, which Shelby, my business partner, will be here in December teaching. Make sure you sign up for that class. That's a plug, by the way. I didn't think I was going to plug it, but I did. So the interesting thing is, you know, on our GPS this year is adding, we call it career visioning, actually. And it's what are we doing to add value to our people at the highest level? And that's important to kind of create a plan around. Because when talent comes into your world, you're going to know. The greatest measure of someone not talented is when they're giving you their job back to you. Who's ever known someone like that? Where you're like, this isn't my job. They just gave it back to me. Right? A real estate agent only has four or five things they should do, and they should leverage everything else out. Right? Do you guys know your four or five things?
Equipment,
Yes.
lead generation.
Yes.
Negotiations.
Contracts. Yes.
Listings.
Being here, no. Being here. So when we say like sharpening your sword or some kind of script practice, something like that, education. So really the 4 that I like is lead generation, going on appointments, negotiating contracts, and sharpening our swords. Everything beyond, everything that's not those things, someone else should be doing. Legion, appointments, negotiating contracts, and then anything education growth related. Like this, maybe you're in a script practice, maybe your coaching sessions, whatever those are the career visioning, absolutely. Anything else, someone else should do. Now, let me ask you guys something. Do you know what your gift zone is? Why do you say that?
Because if I'm in front of you, if I go on a listing appointment, I'm getting it. So it's like I need to just be in front of people.
What else? Does anyone else know what their gift zone is? Have you ever heard of gift zones? Yeah? Who said I have?
I haven't.
You have? Okay. Thank you for being honest. Are you guys interested in gift zones?
Yes.
Tell you. So gift zones provide you with 4 things. They provide you with 1, superiority. When you know your gift zones, it provides you with 4 things. Number 1, superiority. And superiority meaning I'm better, like Sasha said, right? I'm better at this than anyone, I'm getting this, right? That means that she's like dialed into her gift zone, right? Take my jacket off, I have a t-shirt on. That's a good t-shirt. I have my logo on the back.
Sharing your message.
This is Loda, you're fine in
Okay,
jeans, t-shirt.
So this is how I would dress it.
Perfect.
So number 1, gift zone. So when you're identifying your gift zones, number 1 thing is superiority, knowing what you're good at and doing it better than everybody. Number 2 is humility. Ashley. Knowing what you're not good at and leveraging it out to someone who does that job better than you do. And when we talk about the 4 jobs of a realtor or the 5 jobs of a realtor, if you want to add 1 more in, everything else is not, you got to be okay with not knowing. Now, who's been in the business less than a year? Okay, 1 person. So if you ever taken Ignite or taught Ignite or been in any Ignite classes, there's always 1 or 2 students who want to do everything before they do anything. They want to learn everything before they do anything. Have you met those people? There's always 1 or 2 or 5. So the challenge is we call that getting ready to get ready. And they're afraid to make any decisions because they're worried. Really what it comes down to, and this isn't you, this is everyone like you, is we're worried that we're going to be asked something we don't know the answer to, so we'd love to get to know all the answers to everything, and we never know all the answers to everything. And so we have to be okay with that, and that's where the humility part comes in, right? We overcomplicate things to justify our inactions. Right? We're overcomplicating this business to justify our inactions of something we think might come up.
I love that.
Right? There's an agent in our office who's been sitting on their computer for 3 years creating a logo. They've sold 0 homes. Because they're not talking to anyone. Right? You got to talk to people, right? So humility, number 2. Number 3 is responsibility. Also falls into your top 4 things. Take care of your gifts, right? Take care of those things. Feed them, sharpen that sword, right? Be in bigger rooms. If you have a life of abundance, what does that mean, right? It means that you probably want to be in bigger rooms and grow as a person and all those things. My fulfillment comes from pouring what I've learned in rooms to people like everyone I run into. And sometimes maybe it's annoying to people, like my friends, but they all of a sudden showed up to a breakfast one day. Okay?
Must not be too bad.
Right? And so that's the thing. We want to be in those, we thrive to be in those rooms that we feel like we shouldn't be in, and we're honored to be in. I am the dumbest of all of our mastermind groups. I swear to you, I feel like I'm the dumbest one in the room. And then I'm like, I know I'm in the right room. right? Okay, this is a good room. Maybe I'll walk away with 1 or 2 nuggets. I'm not gonna be able to learn all this stuff. Yet, gosh, this is a great room to be in. And wow, am I intimidated? That's the room you want to be, right? You want to take care of that gift. And then the last one is if you're working at a high level on those gift zones, you've identified it, and you are superior, you're humble with it, you're responsible with it, it's always going to provide opportunity. Number 4 is opportunity. And opportunity opens up new doors. Gives you things that you never once knew that you could dream of, right? You never even know. Provides opportunity. And we're always looking for opportunity, right? And if we have identified what you're good at, whether it's being in front of people, it's at an appointment, whatever it is, and I believe these core values probably help you get a step closer to those, then you're going to have abundance. Even if it's not one of your core values, opportunity is going to flow. You're going to be in those right rooms and provide opportunity, right? You never know. Someone might say, hey, I got 10 houses I need to sell. Or they might say, hey, you know what? I'm thinking about retiring from my real estate business. I would like to do a golden handoff to you. It's happening right now with us, right? There's a book called The Golden Handoff, by the way, where literally there's a lead gen model of going after agents who are about to retire to try to take over their database. Pretty interesting, isn't it? Pretty cool. Pretty cool. One challenge that we often have, though, as business owners is certainly distraction, but not knowing, you know that bold lobby present at the moment, something like that. Did I mess it up? Something like that, isn't it? Be appropriate in the moment. Be appropriate in the moment. It's also, you can say, like, be where your feet are, right? It's also said another way, be where your feet are. Basically, stick to what you're committed to. The inconsistency and being committed to things is probably what puts a lot of us out of business, because we lose consistency. If we say, oh gosh, I door knocked that area 1 week and I didn't get any business out of it, so I'm done. Got to be consistent, right? And know our strengths, know those gifts.
Are your agents door knocking right now?
Yes, they are.
Okay, how many doors a week?
200 doors. Each of them are supposed to do 200 doors a week. So, right now, we're door knocking in Code Drive,
Oh,
Great idea.
right? Code Drive for veterans. So we always have something come from contribution when we are door knocking. And then on the back, by the way, we've sold these 5 homes in your market, in your neighborhood lately. You ever hear anyone wanting to buy home real estate? You ever go to realtor, you're a business deal. Right? All those good things. Yeah, whatever you embrace, stick with it. Right? So do you guys know we have like 15 minutes left, I think? Is that true?
Yes.
Thank you guys for sticking around. I'm gonna leave with 2 other things, okay? And they're kind of exercises, but not really, but they stuck with me. I want to share. I'm excited about it. One is something called the trust triangle, right? Now I want you to write this down. I'm going to read it to you. So you can write this down. And then I'm going to end with this office environment thing, right? And this is actually going to flow right into the trust triangle. People tend to trust you when they believe they are interacting with the real you. People tend to trust you when they believe they are interacting with the real you. In parentheses, write authenticity. Comma, when they have faith in your judgment and confidence. When they have faith in your judgment and confidence. Parentheses, logic. And when they feel you care about them. When they feel you care about them, parentheses, empathy. This at home is called the trust triangle. You see that there? Trust is in the middle, and then we have authentic on top, and we have logic and empathy on the bottom. Now, I want you to take the next few seconds and think about a time in the last week or 2 weeks that you lost someone's trust, either in your business or your personal life, and where was your teeter? Did you lose them because they didn't think you were being real and authentic? Did you lose their trust because you maybe didn't communicate something properly and you assumed that they knew something, the logic? Or did you lose their trust because they didn't think you cared about what they were thinking? If you approach every situation on the trust triangle method, it's going to provide you with a lot more trust in your interrelationships, in your business, right? Remember I said your reputation is the hardest thing to earn and the easiest thing to lose? Yes. A lot of it has to do with trust. Trust triangle, authentic, logic, empathy. If they don't think listen, people are buying they've been saving for years. They're buying their house, right? Their first home in a lot of ways. They don't think you care, right? Just another commission check. Ouch. If you're not listening to them, their wants and needs, and you're taking them to the areas that are way over their budget, what's going to happen? Right? If you're not telling them your expertise and your actual, if you're not leading them, being real, then they're going to feel lost. And that goes into our personal relationships too, right? I try this with my kids. Trust triangle. It's super impactful. Super impactful.
Ricky, can you read that paragraph one more time?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I can. Thank you. Is that Patty?
Yes.
Hi, Patty. People tend to trust you when they believe they are interacting with the real you. People tend to trust you when they believe they are interacting with the real you, authenticity, when they have faith in your judgment and confidence, logic, and when they feel you care about them, empathy. So this leads into a discussion about people. Right? Good segue?
Yes,
Okay.
bring it.
We've all heard that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Right? We all know that. You've heard it 1,000 times. Yet, when said a different way, it might hit a little harder. Okay? When said like what Gary said to us a couple weeks ago, he said, you get in life who you deserve. You get in life who you deserve. So if we're talking about building our team and our systems and our models, once we start coming back into the office, we want to make sure that the people we're surrounding ourselves with is a reflection on us. And we're creating the environment that's going to support their goals too, right? So not only is the right people right for that seat, are they in the right bus, and are they right for me? Right? Because we get in life we deserve. People are always our biggest problems and our biggest solutions. They're going to fix everything, or they're going to ruin everything. They're always our biggest problems or our biggest solutions. Right?
Yeah.
In everything, especially in business. I know that this is my measure, and we're recording this, so hopefully no one on my team will ever watch this. But if I spend more than 2 days talking about a certain individual, and it's something that they messed up on or did something, I know it's not. It's the game is over. Okay. If I spend more than 2 days of my life talking about someone, in a role or what they did, it's done. It's already, it's been too much of my time. Make sense? We go big about talking about retention. We're so proud. We have 95% retention in our team. You know what I immediately think? That tells me you're really bad at getting rid of shitty people. Okay? Because it's just not true. I'm sorry I said that. We're in Lodi. We're in Lodi.
We won't let Mo hear this.
We're in Lodi. Right though? Think about it. You gotta be like so proud of your core values that you're protecting them at all costs. And if you don't know what your core values are, you're gonna let those people sneak in and they're gonna screw everything up in your life, everything you've worked for. You gotta protect that at all costs. So no matter when you open back up and start coming back into the office, it's not about when you do it, it's about who you're doing it with. Because Ashley, if you have the right people in your world, and I know 3 or 4 of them are sitting at the table right now, you're not gonna have to worry about that question. Right? Your job as leaders, and that goes to everyone, is not to be sometimes, now, if you're a solo agent, and you're both, sorry. Sorry, everyone. But if you run a team at home or here in the office, your job is not to be the hardest working person, it's to be the hardest thinking person. Okay? Because you're providing opportunity for those around you. Your job is to be the hardest thinking person who wakes up at 2 a.m. You think any of my agents are waking up at 2 a.m.? No. Thinking about stuff. Going to their office early. My whole wall is the size of this wall right here. And it's one whiteboard. And it looks like Einstein just came in and just barfed all over it, right? No one can make sense of it except for me. Yet I write everything on that board. I take a picture of it every day. People. Now we got to take care of the people we love too, right? Mark King shared with me a really great message 2 weeks ago now in Austin. He said every morning at 6 a.m. he gets a notification on his phone. And it says, how can I add value to the most important people in my life today? 6 a.m. Boom. Message on the phone. How can I add value to the most important people in my life today? 6 p.m. when he's either home or almost home, he gets another notification. Boom. How did I add value to the most important people in my life today? So who are those people in your life? You're the average of the 5 people you spend most time with, yet who in your life makes you better? Right? Who in your life makes you a better person?
No, this is not Stockton.
You said no. So in closing, I'm going to tell you a story about you guys know what oxen are? You know what oxen are. You're in Lodi. So in the wild, oxen live on all continents except South America and Australia. Okay, interesting. I know. And when they are feeling threatened, they get in a circle, and they call it touching tails. So they fan out in a circle, right? They all touch tails and they fan out in this circle where their horns are out, and they're protecting themselves against predators. They're protecting themselves against people who want to harm them, do danger, and do damage to their culture and their business and their herd and their community and their family. And yet there's always that one oxen who decides that they can protect themselves on their own. And who is the first oxen to always get eaten? The one that leaves on their own. Always the first one to get eaten. So I say that meaning make sure whatever battleship you're building, whatever navy you are building, make sure they're the best of the best of the best. Because they will take you places that you never dreamed you can get to. How many people are in the Navy? 400,000. How many of them are in the Navy SEALs? Less than 4,000. Do the math. If you want to build a machine of Navy SEALs, you have to go through 400,000 people to get there.
Mhm.
Right? And every single one of you guys, if you're new, brand new, whatever it is, I hope that you would leave here today thinking, I'm going to go build an army to take over the world, and I don't care who's in front of me, because we can all win together. I don't want you to put anyone out. Everyone, if you have a mind of abundance, everyone can thrive and succeed. You don't need to put anyone else out of business. I don't give a rat's ass what Zillow's doing. All I care about is what my team is doing, and we're going to do it at the best level, and we're going to have it with the right people. And that's it. That's all I care about. And that goes for the way, by the way, that also goes for your vendor partners. If you're not taking your vendor partners through career visioning, then they can also do a lot of damage to your business. Your home inspectors, your vendor partners, your title partners. They want to be in your team, and they have to earn that right. And then
So
we're
what do
gonna
you
have to
do
go
there?
through, what?
What do you do there? Like with that, like with your referral partner?
So if you're new, if you're newer, your phone is blowing up by lenders and title reps and home inspectors wanting your business. They need to earn your business, and so you need to go and, or they want to earn your business, and you're going to interview them.
Mhm. I'm saying like people that you've just been with for a long time,
Yeah.
and then it's just like, okay, it's time to like, we're gonna really amp it up next year.
Sure.
Like, let's just
Yeah.
dial it in.
Invite them to your team advance. Invite them to a meeting, a team meeting.
Mhm.
Let them know what your goals are.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, you're going to weed out half of your world by just letting them know where you're going to go next year.
Mhm.
Because then it's going to make them feel uncomfortable, and they're going to suck their own stuff out. And you have to be okay with that.
Right.
Right? You have to be okay with that. What questions before I leave here? Thank you everyone at home for sticking around. It was really great to see you all. Hopefully you took away some great notes and some ahas. In mastermind fashion, before I can leave, I need 3 takeaways. And I'm going to ask for at least 1 from the Zoomers and then 2 in person. And I know who's going to go first.
Well, first of all, I wanted to tell you, this has been fantastic. I hope this has fulfilled you.
The
But
fact that you said that absolutely does. Thank you.
how can we add value from us to you?
You know what? Thank you for asking that question. Listen, I don't have a ton of referrals coming down to Lodi or Stockton, right? However, if by any chance you know someone wanting to buy in the Sacramento area, we'd be honored for a referral. Now, I know there's a room full of 50 people here, and I know some of you, to some capacity, I'd be honored for a referral. In addition to that, in 2020, if you like what you heard today, Shelby, Brian, and I are launching a regular mastermind group to meet once a quarter. It's going to be nationwide. And then we're going to do monthly Zoom kind of sessions, twice a month, Zoom sessions. So if you like what you heard today, if this kind of hit you and you like the way that our style is, I would love to get your guys, everyone's business card, or maybe you can send me the roster.
Sure.
And then we will send you more information on that. Thank you for asking. What was your name?
I'm Brian Halstead.
Brian, thank you for coming and thank you for the
Be
feedback.
Brian Halstead.
The Brian
B.
Halstead.
Brian Holston.
And my takeaway was this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
this
that
was
was good.
this was big. Because I'm listening to Bigger Pockets, the latest
Yes, of
podcast,
course. Yeah.
and it covers a lot of this. You gotta know what your values are, and then that steers you in the right direction all the time. You know, so
You want to know another fun exercise other than that? You can take the one thing 7 circles. What's the one thing such as by doing everything else become easier or unnecessary, the 7 circles, and give yourself a grade this year on how you did per circle. Out of 10 being mastery. Okay, 10 being mastery. And you grade yourself on every circle. And you take the one that you want to have, get it to a 10 the most, and you create a 66-day challenge for
So that's good.
them. And I bet you they'll fall right in line with your values. Go for it.
I got a takeaway. I actually got a lot of takeaways, but the biggest one that hit home for me, we're building a team right now. So we're going through the ops stage of like developing the proper foundation to build upon. My biggest takeaway was when you said write down the perfect 5-star review for your business. If you aren't hitting that, your ops team needs work.
Yep.
That's my biggest takeaway.
Ouch. Sorry, ops team.
But it's like, it's a whole different way to think about,
is.
like, we have an expectation of the business that we want to do it, but
That
what is
becomes your
the people
standard.
saying about us? Yeah.
That becomes
absolutely.
your standard. There was this talk around minimum standards. If you have a minimum standard, then that is now your standard.
Yeah.
If you have a minimum standard, then now your minimum standard is your standard. So that creating a 5-star review is your standard. Zoomers, please share something with me so I can go home. I'm gonna call on you if
I'll share.
thank you.
Hey.
Michael Olivas, Lodi.
Michael, hey.
How's everybody doing? Overkill overtime.
Yes.
Database. I'm cleaning up and trying to work on my database and getting going with that. I know I've been around for a little bit, but just a little bit, but my database needs assistance.
You know what? And I'm glad you said that. That's probably one of my biggest takeaways the last 60, 90 days, overkill over time. You know, the MREA says we should have 2,000 people or 1,980 people in our database. The new MREA is going to be closer to 5,000. What if I told you, what would your world look like if it had 10,000 people in your database, right? That's an overkill over time.
Yeah.
Let's overkill. And then over time, we're going to be thriving in any market.
Mhm.
You're going to kill it now in this market with 10,000, but when we shift, you're going to be killing it and everyone else is going to go out of business. Overkill over time. Everyone, thank you for having me. And it was really great to see some of you again. I'm going to get a roster and I'm going to email you guys. I'm going to email you all. Thank you and some more information. I'll email you a playbook, a bonus playbook from the one thing that you don't have access to. And then keep me posted on how I can continue to add value to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Transitioning, I will tell you right now.
December 1st.
We moved them.
Tracy.
We did. So it's in second to third.
Are you?
Shelby is.
Oh.
Where's my
Shelby is,
mouse?
yes. So Shelby is teaching career visioning December 2nd and 3rd in some office in your Stockton-ish Tracy area. Tracy? Okay.
It's in person?
It's in person, yes.
So December 2nd.
And the 3rd. It's a Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
We had to move it because we're in Austin until the 1st.
That's our Christmas party.
It's our Christmas party too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So do you know hours then? Is it like?
The first day is going to be probably like a 9 to 5. The second day is probably going to be a half a day.
Thank you.
Yep. And the flyer, Michele has a flyer, but we're going to change the dates on that stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.